Texas spring game this weekend. It'll be an opportunity to recruit, and Texas has some big names on campus this weekend. I got Justin Wells from Inside Texas in this video to take us behind the scenes of the Longhorn recruiting weekend. But first, Texas fans, do me a favor. Lock in, hit subscribe. I love talking Texas recruiting. You guys love watching Texas recruiting. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring in Justin Wells from Inside Texas. We got some big names, and I'm going to start. I got some questions here. Quarterback Keelan Russell, he's committed to SMU, but his recruitment has been blowing up. He's expected to be in Austin this weekend, but what's the deal with his recruitment to Texas?
Yeah, so this has definitely become one of the more interesting recruitments to watch. Keelan Russell's stock has been rising. Quarterback at Duncanville, he's throwing to some tremendous guys, DeCorian Moore, Zachary Turner, handing off to Caden Durham. But the truth is, Keelan Russell is a talented guy in and of itself. Commits to SMU early, gets his spot, and then all of a sudden, he starts blowing up. Yeah. Ole Miss offers, a handful of other SEC offers. And then about 3 weeks ago, he was at the Under Armour Next camp in Dallas.
Yep.
And he was clearly the best quarterback on campus. He was clearly the best guy. And if you watch him enough, he has a lot of upside, Josh. This is a guy that is easily a 4-star, could even climb a little bit higher. And so you think, well, what is Texas doing looking at a second quarterback? Call it due diligence, because KJ Lacey's in the mix, obviously the Saraland, Alabama kid, but Alabama and Auburn and Ole Miss aren't letting up on him, even though he's solid to Texas. So you have to watch that. You have to keep in contingencies. Two, Texas this might be a 2-quarterback class. Like, we don't know what this could be yet.
Is it a 2-quarterback class, or are they hedging with KJ Lacey? Because Lacey is kind of looking around himself a little bit.
I think it's both.
Okay.
I really do. And to add to that, I also feel like it could be a wild card to hold on to in November when the DeCorian Moore recruitment gets started, because that's his teammate and those guys are close. So there's a lot of little elements and data points to this recruitment that make it interesting. He's been talking to Sark and Coach AJ Milwee. Milwee's going to come by Duncanville in a few weeks to watch him throw. They're going to keep him close because I'll be honest with you, Josh, I love Lacey. I think he's got great feet, quick release, really accurate. But Keelan Russell's bigger, faster, a little bit stronger, and I think he has more upside. And I think that's what's intriguing to Sark and those guys. And so at the end of the day, he's got a spot at SMU. I don't think he probably ends up there. I think he's going to go bigger. A lot of other big schools have already come in and offered. Texas is bringing him in for that spring game. If they like what they see in the evaluation period in May rather, you could see him back on campus in the summertime. You got the DeCorian Moore factor, hedging for KJ Lacey. Just another reason to continue to watch and keep up at On3 Football Recruiting Show, because these things are moving. It's fluid, and Texas is constantly looking. This could be a 2-quarterback class. Think about it. With Quinn Ewers gone next year, there's only 2 scholarship quarterbacks on campus. I think Sark might want to bring in 2.
Okay, so if Justin Wells is running Longhorn recruiting, just walk with me here. If Justin Wells is running it and you can only have 1 quarterback, are you taking Keelan Russell or KJ Lacey?
Boy, you put me on the spot. Oh, man. I wasn't ready for that one. Oh, I think I take Keelan Russell. And that's tough. I really like Lacey. Nothing against Lacey. I think he's tremendous. I think he needs a couple years in the strength and conditioning program. I think he needs to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Keelan just has some upside, Josh. The ball explodes out of his hand. We've seen him progressively get bigger over the last 2 years. He's playing at a school that predominantly runs the football, and he has forced that staff to throw the football because of his talent. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna by a small margin. I'm probably taking Russell.
I thought you were going to say that. That's why I asked the question.
I just don't want to make it seem like I'm anti-KJ Lacey, because you know how the social media world works. If you like one, you must hate the other, which is just silly. But I think both are tremendous. I just think Russell has a little bit more upside.
Yeah, his recruitment is absolutely blowing up. We're going to talk about him in some other videos down the road, but yeah, Keelan Russell is a top tier quarterback right now and could be moving up the rankings as this cycle wears on. Let's talk about linebacker Riley Pettijohn, a fierce battle right now for the McKinney, Texas linebacker. Where do you feel Texas stands heading into this visit?
I think it's Texas right now. I really do. I think, I said it a couple of weeks ago. Him and Elijah Barnes are the two top priority linebackers in state for Johnny Nansen and Pete Kwiatkowski. And Barnes jumped in the boat last week. We knew it was coming. We didn't know exactly when, but Texas was trending pretty hardcore. I guess we should have known when he walked out of the facility a couple of weeks ago after an unofficial visit, and he had a Texas defensive workout book. So maybe that was a giveaway for Barnes. I think Pettijohn's in the same realm. Mm-hmm. I think this is a guy that he'll take some more visits. Ohio State really wants to get him back on campus. I know LSU's in the mix. Texas A&M wants to get in there. Michigan had been pushing off and on. But I would be surprised if it's not Texas. I don't think this is a commit watch, so to speak, but I do think Texas is getting closer. I do think he'll have a decision right after his official visits. This kid is not going into his senior year uncommitted. And so right now, Texas just needs to stay the course. They have been tremendous in building this relationship before they hired new linebacker coach Johnny Nansen from Arizona. Nansen's only picked up where they left off and done a tremendous job. The family is really big with the Texas staff, and that they love the culture and the way the program's building. So right now, I think it's Texas for Riley Pettijohn. This is a guy that ran what was a 10.6, 10.7 in the 100 a couple weeks ago, and for a linebacker at 6'2.5", 215, 220 pounds, that is absolutely fantastic. I like Texas. Don't sleep on Ohio State. LSU's going to creep. A&M's going to try to make a little dent. I could see USC trying to get him back out for an official visit, but I think it's going to be the Horns right after those official visits.
Yeah, I think he does take some official visits. I think Ohio State may be the team to watch there.
Yes.
Another one that seems like it's trending heavily in Texas' favor, not on the RPM, because if you read the RPM, James Simon's still trending heavily to LSU, but LSU took JT Lindsey last week, another in-state running back. Now they have two to couple him, Lindsey and Harlem Berry. And Tashard Choice, he's turning up the heat on James Simon. It just seems like this is going to be one where these two sides come together. Do you see it that way, and can Texas close it out this weekend?
I do see it that way, and I wouldn't be surprised if Texas closes it out this weekend. Not saying he's commit watch, but I will tell you, I think Texas, over the last 72 hours, has taken the lead in the James Simon sweepstakes. Like you said, LSU took another back in Lindsey last weekend. The domino effect is in full effect when it comes to the 2025 cycle. And, talking to sources close to the program, they love Simon. There's some things that James Simon does better than some of these other running back targets. And there's a reason Tashard Choice has maintained a relationship with this kid for well over a year. They love his upside. He has a lot to the field, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He does a lot. He's a talented guy. They went from talking about once a week to talking every other day. Okay. And so the thing I think is really key here is Simon still has a couple other trips. I think he's still going to see possibly Miami and A&M at the end of April, but he only has one official visit scheduled, and that's Texas on June 21st to the 23rd. I asked him, do you have any others that you're looking at setting up? He said, not right now.
Where's
that to me
RPM?
is that in time. We've got to check a few more boxes. We got to confirm.
Are those boxes that you need to check more on Texas's side or James Simon's side?
Gosh, you're throwing the good ones at me today. I'm going to say they need to be checked on the James Simon side. I think he's convinced. He's been to Austin a half a dozen times already. His father, I caught up with him last night. They're all coming in Saturday. They're excited. And, like with Ricky Stewart, he didn't show up to Austin necessarily to commit, but he got kind of caught up in it, and he kind of knew that's where he wanted to go anyway. Mm-hmm. I think we could see something similar with Simon. Does he wait until that official visit in June, or does he get the spot? Right. Because Tashard Choice is pretty direct with these guys. Look, I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 guy on the list. I got one spot gone. If you want the other one, jump in the boat. And with LSU taking Lindsey, I think that jump started what James Simon wants to do and needs to do. I would not be surprised if he wrapped it up this weekend. I think Texas does have a lead. You've tempted me now to potentially put in RPM. Let me do a little bit more digging over the next 24 to 48 hours. Go to InsideTexas.com. We've been updating the recruiting visitor list. We've got some new guys coming in on that list. But James Simon's the one. I think him and Texas just make too much sense right now.
Yeah, and like you said, the QB dominoes are falling, but so are the running back dominoes. And exactly. If LSU, even if LSU was your number 2 team behind Texas, that is no longer a viable spot for you. You might start looking at Texas and say, well, they are my number 1, so maybe I'm going to jump on. So I agree with you. This leads me to my next question, another fastball right down the middle, though. Anyone on commit watch this weekend?
That's a tough one. The 2 guys you'd already mentioned, Petty John would be one that I would think about, but I don't think he's ready. Mm-hmm. Simon's one that I think would be a little bit closer, but I want to, check a little bit more just to kind of see where he's at and if that's what he wants to do. I don't know, man. The last few events, they've had one guy leave committed. And I know they like that kind of momentum whenever they can generate that whenever those guys are on campus and they're in the moment and they're ready to decide. But, that being said, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if there's necessarily one I would say on commit watch, but there are 3 or 4, including like a Keelan Russell, where if that visit goes really well, like with a James Simon, if that visit goes really well, this recruitment could take a sharp turn. Yeah. And so, I can't think of any guys off the top of my head other than the ones we've kind of talked about. And don't forget, Texas has hosted some of their top targets, some of their best elite priority guys over the last couple of weeks. And there's one guy still that's going to be running in a track meet not too far away. And if for some reason he can get out of that track meet or something happens with the time or with the weather, you're looking at a 5-star Decorian Moore who could be back on campus, who was originally scheduled to be in Austin for the spring game anyway. And so a lot of moving parts. Not sure about commit watch, Josh. I wish I had something better for you, but I do think they get some things finalized with a handful of these guys. So, because once April's over, the portal becomes the thing, and then now Sark's going to be able to shift into going off campus. These coaches are going to hit the road, and I think that's where we're going to see a little bit more senior evaluation, a little bit more junior offers, and really solidifying those June official visits. Who's going to be in, who's not going to be in, because July and August is going to be the best time to be at On3 and Inside Texas Recruiting, because I'm telling you, absolutely, it's going to be a wild one, and I cannot wait.
I mean, last summer, Texas was heading into summer recruiting sitting outside the top 20. Yes. So there's no real need to feel any panic. I hope anybody watching this doesn't think that we're insinuating that. I just mean, I agree with you about the commit watch, but I do think that there will be guys on campus this weekend that are not committed that end up signing with the Longhorns when it's all said and done.
Yes, I think so too. I'm telling you, I like Simon. I like Pettijohn. I like that they're keeping close tabs on Caleb Chester out of Fort Bend Marshall. Yeah, man, there's a handful of guys that are in the mix, but don't forget, Texas fans, Sark plays the long game. Mm-hmm. He does not pressure. He does not push, and it works.
It's worked so far.
It works. It's a system that he's been comfortable with. That's his temperament by nature. He doesn't feel like he needs to push or pressure anybody into making this decision. He wants it to be Texas and that alone. And so it's going to be interesting. This class is going to look drastically different probably by the 2nd or 3rd week in July.
All right, Texas fans, tap in with me. Comment section below. How are we feeling about the big weekend coming up in the spring game? Also, I'll pose you the same question. Who you taking, KJ Lacey or Keelan Russell? If you could only take one, let me know. Comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel, and also do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.